Well, good afternoon, folks. We got Dr. Pruitt with us. Like I promised you, I said she's in house, she's on deck, she's ready to come. Well, here she is. And it is exactly 17 minutes to 12 o'clock here in Costa Rica. But before we get going, folks, don't forget to share us on your social media as well. Don't forget about QFS1776.com and .shop. We have some incredible merchandise. Okay. And also, don't forget to play with the algorithms. Like, unlike, subscribe, unsubscribe. Keep these guys confused, man. That's the only way we could do it. Dr. Pruitt, I follow her religiously because she is a authority on JSARA, NESARA, the QFS. There's some political stuff that we have to try and stay under the radar. Call these like the face mask, whatever. And this is like when you point to that thing, just do that. Our audience knows exactly what that is. Dr. Pruitt, I can't believe you're in the same room with me. You are amazing, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I can't believe I'm here with you. Isn't that awesome? It's awesome that we found each other.
Yes. Let's talk JSARA and NESARA. I know you are an expert. I know you know a lot. Tell the audience, tell your audience, tell my audience what you know, and let it rip. Don't hold back. Tell them everything.
Okay. Well, good morning, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt, and you all probably know something about me. I have a background. Actually, my bachelor's degree background was in political science and economics, psychology, and sociology, all tied into one. And I never thought I'd be using political science or economics or any of that. So I went on and got a master's degree in counseling and did some graduate, postgraduate work in education. But my passion has always been journalism. And so during the administration before this fake one, it's like a passion. My passion was unlocked. Like the creator just allowed me to awaken or tap into that part of me. And one of the first things that I became aware of was the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, or the global perspective. A part of that would be the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. So I know you all know what that is. So basically it is a law or an act that was signed into law against number 40, was it number
43, I think, or something like that. 40, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I don't want to say names because I don't know if we'll get flagged.
Yeah, no, we're fine. Yeah, Clinton.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So my understanding, and I assume the audience knows this, is that he did not want to sign this act into law. So white hats of the military stormed into the White House and forced him to sign it into law at gunpoint. And according to legend, according to our research, he was supposed to announce this from the Pentagon on 9/11/2001. So the gold that was in the world, that the World Trade Towers was supposed to offset the debts. It was supposed to be in a big announcement. And it makes sense because 9/11 is a portal.
It's a big distraction, isn't it? It's a huge distraction.
It's a huge distraction, what they did so that we wouldn't know what was gonna happen. So I don't know if your audience is familiar with all of the benefits of NESARA.
But you can go over it because I want to cement it in. I want to make sure they stamp that in their brain. You know what I mean? They know it. Yeah.
Yes. So I've heard that some people are saying that NESARA and JSARA is a hoax. It's not real. And that just breaks my heart, family, because this is something both Mel and I have done extensive research on. We know it's real. We have evidence. Yes?
Absolutely.
Evidence. So basically, there are like about at least 19 benefits of NESARA and JSARA, and this will be worldwide. So the first benefit is that it will zero out all credit card debt, all mortgages, bank loans, automobile loans, student loans. I know that alone, student loans, that's going to make us all happy. It will zero out that debt. So in other words, it would be a wonderful debt jubilee. That's really biblical. Because in the Bible, I think it was every 50 years, you had a debt jubilee so that you can free people and allow them experience what it's like to live without having debt hanging over their heads, because debt is slavery. And then the second one it would abolish all income taxes, and which makes sense because we're working basically to pay off these other people who are living off of our energy. So this bill or this act or law will abolish all income taxes, which is wonderful. Third, it will abolish the three-letter organization. Can I say the organization?
IRS, they're gone.
Yes. It will completely eliminate the IRS. And we actually saw some of that happening when number 45 put the duties of the Federal Reserve underneath the Treasury Department. So that was kind of like a precursor to him abolishing the IRS, and which is, because the IRS and the Federal Reserve banking system, they're interconnected, even though it's not federal at all. And we also saw a little bit of that under his administration when House Resolution 24 was pushed forward to monitor the IRS. So that's the third benefit. It will completely eliminate the IRS. The international IRS is not federal, it's not lawful. It is a three-letter corporate entity that has nothing to do with our republic. Therefore, it must go. And the interesting thing about that one is that Pope Francis had made this announcement when he wrote a letter to Obama in 2013, and it was called Motu Proprio. In the letter, Pope Francis said, the IRS must go, other three-letter organizations must go, and all of these agencies have to cease and desist, as well as court workers like your lawyers and judges. He said they all must go because we're all unlawful. And people didn't know that because they didn't know that this letter was sent to President Obama via his attorneys. And what he said was the United States, of course, is a country, but the government is unlawful. He said it's a United States corporation, it's a corporate entity that overtook the country. But at some point, he said this out of his mouth, if all these entities have to cease and desist, or else the grand army of the republic will annihilate them and dismantle them. And that, my friends and family members, is actually what we see happening in real time.
Right now. I want to add a few things to that, if you don't mind, Doctor.
Absolutely.
Basically, a lot of people don't know, and I'm sure. See, we're going to try and educate your audience on things that I preach that they might not know, because I put a little twist to everything, and I go into a different kind of depth. But the IRS is registered in Puerto Rico. Did you and your audience know that?
I just recently heard that, actually.
Yes, and they're basically the biggest illegal collection agency, mafia style, with guys with guns, and they will come to your house and they make up the laws. See, if you sign these documents, these tax documents, that means that you are complying. Okay, and that's where the problem is. The problem, and I don't want to get into depth, but you don't want to sign or call them. If you call, that means you are recognizing yourself as a taxpayer. You're complying. Be non-compliant. Okay. Also, the money that everybody pays does not go to build your bridges or traffic lights or infrastructure or roads. None of it. Not even a single effing dime. Not one dime goes to building America. It all goes to the Vatican, and it all goes to the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No.
Every dollar that you pay in income tax goes to the Vatican and to the United Kingdom, the families.
Wow.
Yes. It is the biggest heist in the history of America. Absolutely. Continue, please.
Now, I know they say that we pay voluntarily, but I don't think people realize that.
Well, there was a lady that worked for the IRS. And this was when I won't call him my friend, I'll call him my acquaintance, Aaron Russo, okay, the guy who made the movie America from Freedom to Fascism, which is fabulous documentary. It's on the internet. You might want to look it up. That will give you a hell of an education. You'll have a black belt immediately as soon as you watch that video entirely.
Wow.
Aaron and I spoke on the phone maybe 6, 7, 8 times at the most. And we long-winded conversations, but he said a lot of things in that video, and he educated America like there's no tomorrow. He educated the entire world on what a scam this is, and they actually show an actual physical case of somebody going through the system and beating them because the lawyer knew how to ask the right questions. But this lady worked for the IRS. I want to get back to the story. I sort of work like Pulp Fiction. Okay. I go forth, and then you got to piece the movie in your head, and then okay, that's how it goes. Okay. So the lady worked for the IRS. She saw a big ad in what was it, America Today, one of the biggest newspapers, and it said that if you can show us the law that obligates people to pay income taxes, we're going to give you a $50,000 reward. She said, oh, wow, this is easy. I'm going to show them the law. I'm going to get my $50,000. I'm going to pay off my debts. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to go back to work with the IRS. That's what she thought. This lady is still alive and kicking and healthy today. Okay. I can't think of the lady's name. You guys might know who she is. You can put it down in the comments below, but I will tell you this. Till today, the law has not been found. You know why? Because the law does not exist. It's a voluntary thing. It's not, you're not obligated to. See, let's go back a little bit just so you understand.
Okay.
They introduced the IRS, the income tax, to pay for World War II. And they said, after World War II is done, don't worry, we're going to abolish the IRS. But because they're thieves by nature, and they got used to that gravy train of money just pouring at them from all, right? What happened? They kept it going. And they changed the laws to bamboozle you and play with the linguistics to keep you bamboozled, dazed, and confused. They've done a great job. But then there are people like, Dr. Pruitt and me that come in that start to really do some rabbit dives, educate you guys on what to look for. They don't like people like us.
They don't. And they censor us.
Oh my God, you have no idea. Doctor, you have no idea. But I'll tell you what, I don't think we're winning. I know we're winning, but we got to keep the pressure on. I want to congratulate publicly Mr. Tracy Heat for finally taking me up on the challenge and opening up his own YouTube channel. Doctor, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about getting as many people to stand up as quickly as possible, to make as much noise as possible, to gain as much knowledge as possible, as quickly as possible, and just keep beating the drum. Boom, 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 until they start to lay down. Because if we all stand up, they're going to take a little, in their pants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are strength in numbers.
So you get my drift. Keep going, man. You're amazing.
Thank you. And so are you. Number 4, the fourth benefit is that we're supposed to increase the benefits of our senior citizens. So as you know, senior citizens barely make enough to survive. And as a matter of fact, last year, I met a senior citizen who told me when she found out I had a YouTube channel, she said, I need you to tell people that some of the people who are homeless and on the street are actually our senior citizens who don't make enough to pay rent. And I just burst into tears when she told me that, because she said, we work hard all of our lives, and then we get a meager amount of money per month, and we can't even survive, So I'm grateful that NESARA will increase benefits for our seniors. Number 5, or the 5th benefit, is it's supposed to return us to constitutional law. Thank God, because right now we are using admiralty law, or we're on admiralty law and maritime law, which is law based on the water. Now, this is a caveat, and I don't know how off I am about this, Mel, but when RBW was overturned, I looked into the person's name that the case was based upon, and of course her name isn't even Roe. And so I dove into why would they name this Roe? And so in my research, what I found was, how they play on words. So Roe it's kind of like it's an allegory where it's similar to row, row, row your boat. So, and Wade, Roe versus Wade, Wade was actually the name of, it was one of the lawyers, I think, that was on the case. So what I put together based on my research was that RBW being overturned was about that one particular case being overturned that we know about. I don't know if we can say the actual word, but it also served as a double meaning we were moving away from row, row, row your boat, moving away from admiralty law and law based on the water back to constitutional law or law based on the land. So I thought that was amazing. And this is what NESARA is going to do, return us to constitutional law, because the Constitution for the United States, those are the principles that our government are based upon, and not the Constitution of the United States of America corporations. Two different constitutions, that one is lawful, that's connected to the republic, and the other is unlawful, that's connected to the corporation that President Trump is dismantling along with the White Hats. And also number 6, the 6th benefit is it will establish new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after the NESARA announcement. So what we heard, Mel, was that at some point we're supposed to have some type of EBS announcement. I don't know if that will happen, but emergency broadcast system announcement that will let people know what's been going on behind the scenes. Have you heard the same thing?
Well, I think if there is going to be an announcement, it's going to be made on Truth Social. So if you don't have an account there, I suggest you go get one very quickly. Okay. I know that in certain countries they're not open yet, but this is more important for the United States because that's the last domino that needs to fall in order for communism to set in. They just didn't realize that the domino's 27 miles high, 17 miles wide, solid steel, and it doesn't fall over that easy.
Yes.
Mm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that, you know who makes up that domino? We do. We do. We people out there, the digital soldiers, Dr. Pruitt, myself, and anybody who opens up a YouTube channel, I applaud you. Let's go. Or Rumble channel or whatever kind of channel. Let's make some noise. Damn it.
Absolutely. And so that makes a lot of sense that the announcement will come from Truth Social, because that's the platform that the president owns or controls rather. And he's actually been making some announcements, Mel. He made an announcement just, I don't know if it was late last night or this morning, that let us know that he is about to really blow this thing with them raiding his home out of the water. And I just think it was a 5D chess move. I think he knew they were going to raid. I'm sorry for getting off, but I think he knew they were going to come and raid his home. And I think the evidence that they found is actually going to implicate them.
Well, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
It would.
And what do you think of the flat tax that's going to be between 14 and 17% on things you want, not things that you need, like drugs or clothes or, you know, what do you think about that tax system? And I'm going to tell you how this, after I get your thought on it, I'm going to tell you why that system, at the end of the day, there's a lot more money in the cash register than any other system. But I want your thought on it first. The
flat tax on the big ticket items? Is that what it is?
A tax on everything that you want, that you don't really need. Nobody needs an 85-inch screen TV, right?
Right.
So if you want an 85 screen inch TV that costs $2,000, you're going to pay 17% tax.
I think that's a good idea, honestly. You know, pay for it. No taxes on the things that you need to survive. And then if you have to pay, if you decide that you want to buy something big, pay. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Pay for it. Pay an extra tax for it. It will actually curtail some people from being greedy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, if you bought a used car, right? Yes. If you bought a used car and you bought it for me, and I bought the car new. When I bought the car new, I paid taxes on that car, right? Now the car is used. I sell it to Dr. Pruitt. Now the government wants Dr. Pruitt to pay taxes on a car that the taxes were already paid on.
Yes.
That's BS.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So on used cars, you're not going to pay any kind of taxes. On clothes, you need to be clothed. You're not going to pay taxes. On medicine, not drugs, medicine, not petroleum-based drugs. I'm talking about medicine that is natural medicine that's made from herbs. Okay, you're not going to pay any tax. Things that you need. Okay, if you buy a brand new home and it's a $6 million mansion, you're going to pay 14 to 17% tax because you don't need to buy a new home. You can buy a used home, right? Somebody else already paid the taxes on it. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you, Dr. Pruitt. I don't know if you've ever heard this before. Why there's much more money, and this is more for your audience than mine. My audience has a black belt on this stuff.
Okay.
But there's much more money in the cash register at the end of the day with this system that's coming through JASARA and NESARA with a flat tax than any other system that is in existence right now. Why? You'll agree with me that every billionaire and trillionaire of the world, they hide behind their 501c3s, just like the churches do, and they pay what? Zero tax. They pay a couple of secretaries, they got a couple of fancy computers, and maybe pay $2,000 a month rent for their little office. They hide behind their 501c3. They're worth billions and trillions, and they don't do any humanitarian. None of their money benefits any of you folks out there. No. Okay, so it's the little people paying into the system, but the big people who can afford, the attorneys that cost $10,000 just to talk to them, and they're, they would have to normally pay under normal circumstances. Some of them would have to pay, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 million a year in taxes. They hide behind these 501c3s, just like the churches. But with this system, nobody can hide. There's going to be no more 501c3. Nobody hiding no more. You want a flying saucer? 17% tax. You want a helicopter? 17%. You want a jet airplane? 17%. You want a Lamborghini? 17%. Everybody's going to pay. Everybody.
See, I like that. Because people keep saying that when we redeem our currencies, that's going to be too much money, coming into the system, and it doesn't make sense. And but people are going to be greedy. But I think forcing people to pay or having people to pay a percentage of taxes, I think that will curtail the greed. Honestly.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. 100%. Now, you said earlier, we have evidence that people are getting their student loans forgiven, car loans forgiven. I could tell you emphatically, okay, again, for your audience, that in my room, in my Telegram group that you could join right down below, okay, it's free of charge. We take you through the system. We teach you how to charter the waters that are coming, the quantum financial system, the QFS, the XRP, the XDC, the XLMs. Okay, because this is complicated. We put the most elementary videos in order at QFS1776.com, and you could find all of our social media platforms at the top, and you could follow us anywhere you want. But the bottom line is, we put together this comprehensive videos and these are elementary videos that a 75-year-old grandmother can watch and understand, or a 14-year-old kid that knows nothing about money. Okay. They'll watch the videos in the order up from top to bottom. We see all of this stuff exists, doctor, on the internet, but nobody's ever taken it and put it in a little neat, elementary, chronological order that makes sense. That's what we did.
That's beautiful.
Right? I got people calling me from Sweden, from Germany, from Italy, from New Zealand, saying, hey, we want to copy your website. I say, knock yourself out. I'm not here to save the world. Knock yourself out. I'm not here to save the world by myself. I'm just a small guy with a big chair.
Yes.
So, man, but you're absolutely right. And I have somebody by the name of Urain. And Urain, if you're out there listening, please, you got to contact me. Urain goes to his mailbox. This has happened 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. 2.5 weeks ago. He goes to his mailbox. And what's in the mailbox? He just purchased a house in Ohio. He just purchased a house. He put $35,000 down in Amish neighborhood. And he went to his mailbox, and in the mailbox, lo and behold, there is a deed to the house. When the bank sends you the deed to the house, guess what? You own the house. He goes on the computer. The computer says you have no payments. A true story. I'm going to be getting ready to interview. His name is Urain. He's in our room. He's a great guy, family guy, awesome, red-blooded American patriot. And he's going to come in our room to explain that story to you, the people that are out there, and they're putting these little breadcrumbs out there so that they got you thinking, and they got you scratching your head and try to simultaneously snap these dumb normies out of their media-induced comas that are still on CNN. Shame on you. You know what I mean? But it's happening, right? It's really under our nose.
Yes. Now, people are testifying. Mel, what would you say to people who ask you, why isn't it happening all at once? Because people ask me that all the time. And, people like you, people have testified and said to me, my student loans are paid off. My credit cards are paid off. I didn't pay them off. But people ask, why isn't it happening to me? Why isn't it happening to everybody at the same time?
I'm going to answer that for you very simple, the way I normally answer for everybody else. There's no rhyme or reason how they're doing it. I don't know their method to their madness, why they're picking her and not picking me, and picking the guy down the street and not picking the other guy that lives the next town over. I have no idea how they're doing it, but they're doing it. I think there'll be a time where they're going to speed it up, and then they're going to speed it up some more. But when you start to go down these rabbit holes, doctor, enlighten me a little bit. When you go down these rabbit holes and you live in these rabbit holes as many hours as we dive into these, I'm literally consumed with this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. You start to understand that this is an octopus with millions of tentacles. Yes. This is not a small little operation that you could just take it and throw it in a microwave and it's done. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moving parts. These people, the cabal, have amassed a tremendous amount of wealth to think that they're just going to roll over and say, "Okay, we lost. We're throwing in the towel."
Right. You're right.
Okay.
You are absolutely right.
It ain't happening.
It ain't.
It ain't happening. Yeah. This thing could go, I said, all the way till 20. I could be wrong, and I want to be wrong because I don't want to wait till 2025. Yeah. So please understand what I'm trying to tell you.
I get it.
Okay. This could go all the way to 2025. So in the meantime, what do, doctor? I show people how to get into positive cash flow, because if you got positive cash flow, if you got $5,000-$10,000 a week coming in, the pressure's off, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Right? You don't care anymore. When it happens, it happens. As a matter of fact, it puts you in a position to buy what? More of the one, XRP, more XLM. Yes. What's going to happen by default? They're going to make you richer. You should say, thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
And it makes you feel more empowered too, where you're not just sitting around waiting for somebody to save you. You're actually doing something to help yourself. You're creating wealth for yourself, your family, your posterity, and you have more money to help the community in the meantime while we're waiting for this to happen. Absolutely.
So I always hear people, because, I study entrepreneurship for a long time. I didn't come to America from Sicily because I needed a job. I don't need a job. I don't like anybody telling me what to do. I'm the boss. I want to tell you what to do.
Yes.
That's why I got fired from every job except for one. It said, Mel, you're a really nice guy, but you ain't running the show here. There's the door. Don't let it hit you in the butt. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yes.
So I came to America for entrepreneurship. I came because I wanted to study how to make money. I came to the United States to make money. I was hungry.
That's the difference between people that come from other countries and some of us that are actually here. And even some of us, like in your marginalized communities, I can't speak for everybody, but for some of us, we've been so used to receiving handouts or just being a worker or, a slave, so to speak, a servant, and what I mean by slave is you're working for somebody else, building up their empire. But people that come to this country and see the opportunities, they start thinking from a perspective of how can I see a problem? How can I fix it? I'm a solution-oriented person. So I see there need stores in the community. So let me go ahead and create a store so that I'm, filling a need in the community, but also generating wealth for myself and my family. That's a big difference.
Absolutely. You said the key word. You hit the nail on the head. Solution. See, I'm like, like I said earlier, I like to study entrepreneurship. Okay. I want to study it to a point where it's, nauseating to most people. I understand that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I didn't come to America from the island of Sicily while I was living in northern Italy at the time. We just went to Sicily to say goodbye, and then we went to America with green cards. We did it the right way. Okay. Green cards were mailed to us in the mail. But the solution, see, I'm in the public eye now. I built a sizable organization between all my platforms. We're scratching 100,000 people.
That's great.
I hear them say, Mel, I don't have enough money to buy XRP. Mel, I'm in pain. Bingo. And I sent you those videos, right? We're going to answer that. We're probably going to be working together. I can feel it. It's in the air, man. Okay. But that's what it is. See, I was watching an interview by Sam Walton. And Sam Walton was on 60 Minutes when the news was worth something, 25, 30 years ago. He was asked one question. And that one question was, what makes you so successful? What was the common denominator? What was the final ingredient that you just said, yo, I got it. Here it is. He said, I listened to my customers. And based on what they wanted, I acted on what they wanted, and I delivered on what they wanted. The rest was history. That's what he said. So you have to be a student of history if you want to make it in this world. I know we live in rough times. Some people are going to check out. Some people are not going to make it. Yeah. Right now, we're going into the 15th round of this New World Order. And hopefully by the time it's all said and done, there's not going to be an odor left of the New World Order.
Yes.
Okay. But, things are going to get rough going forward. Some of you are not going to make it. So, but if you get the positive cash flow and you get a little confidence in you, nothing can stop you. Nothing. America, anything is possible. And there's a million ways to skin the cat. You just got to figure out how you want to skin it for you and your family. Let's talk a little bit more about the debt forgiveness and what you learned from your group, etc. Have you any success stories in your personal group?
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you so much for that speech. It was so inspiring. I felt myself getting excited, so I've not been much of an entrepreneurial person. I'm just now getting into it, but just hearing you speak is so uplifting and empowering. So thank you. I've heard people actually say that their debts have been forgiven. As a matter of fact, my son, who was paying on his student loans, went to buy a house, and he was nervous because he didn't know how much more he owed of his student loans. And when he looked onto his credit reports and he called the three-letter agencies and even called the United States Department of Education, they said his loan had been paid off. So he was like, Mom, maybe that stuff you've been talking about is true. And I've had testimonies like that from people who listen to our platform. So, and not just from the United States, there were people from different countries that have said that they have their credit cards paid off. So we know that it's happening. And then, so back to some of the principles of NESARA. The eighth thing it's supposed to do is create a new United States Treasury note that will replace the United States dollar. And some people are saying this Treasury note is rainbow. It looks like rainbow currency because it's colorful like some of the other countries. And it's supposed to be backed by silver, gold, platinum, and other precious metals. So I think that's exciting. And speaking of the United States dollar, we know from our research that many countries have dropped the United States dollar. So, in fact, I just heard recently that all of the exporting countries no longer trade with the USD. So this is serious because now the USD is only domestic from what I hear, for the most part, in terms of trade between Mexico, parts of Canada, and America. So once these big countries have decided, like BRICS nations, I think they were some of the first, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa decided that they were going to leave the USD. Then you had Iran, Iraq, Malaysia, Indonesia, Egypt, Turkey, country after country saying we're not going to trade using the United States dollar anymore. We're going to create our own basket of currencies, and it will likely be backed by gold. That's huge. So we see that we are moving towards the gold standard, and we see that it's probably happening actually before our eyes, that we're about to go to the United States Treasury note, which will be backed by gold or other precious metals.
Well, I heard you say recently on one of your podcasts where there was something happened. I even heard it on Charlie Ward, where they said that about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I forget exactly when, that every country was now under the gold standard.
Yes.
Correct? Was there like a document or a contract that was signed amongst the nations?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, so we had heard a few years ago that 209 countries agreed behind the scenes to return to the gold standard, but there was no evidence, no document. So we were reporting it because one of my contacts is someone who was a part of the farmers' claims that led to NESARA. So he said that the military actually came down to them and told them about all of these things. And so according to what we were told, 209 countries agreed. But then I actually was able to find something, you know, that you can look up now. It's called Project Sandman. And Project Sandman said 100 plus nations agree behind the scenes to return to the gold standard. And that is actually what is happening right now before our eyes.
Yeah, there's so much gold, you know, Dr. Pruitt. There's an infinity of gold. You know, people think that, you know, we came off the gold standard in 1971 with Nixon, and they think that the theft started in 1971, when it actually started in biblical times. Okay, there are quintillions and quintillions of tons of gold, quintillions, an untold number of gold. You know, they don't have enough facilities to store it all. That's how much gold there is. There's so much in abundance. They sold you a BS story of scarcity so that they can keep the prices up. They keep upgrading the technology, so they got you like a yo-yo. I got my phone, man. I got my phone. I'm not ashamed to tell you, I could go out right now and buy the latest iPhone that just rolled off the shelf 2 hours ago. I don't do it. My phone, I'm proud to say, is 3 years old. You know what I do with my money? I put it in XRP, baby. You know, when I buy my phone, it's gonna be like gold plated with diamonds.
Yes.
It's going to be able to connect with extraterrestrials. You know? So, you know, they got all these people brainwashed to wait online 3 days before the new iPhone. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you people out there? You know? And let's talk about the fake administration. You said the fake administration in the beginning of our show, and you talked about, you know, basically hinting at the fact that maybe these guys are not who they are. What do you believe about that?
You know, when you look at these people, you can tell that they're not the originals. Sometimes they don't even look real. You know, they look soulless. And sometimes you can actually see masks when you look at the neck. You can actually see that something's covering their face. And
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're on the same page. And this is, again, for your audience, not mine. My audience hears me. I sound like a broken record. That's probably why Tracy Heat just went off and said, you know, I'm going to start my own channel. I'm tired of listening to Mel. I'm going to sing the song, but a little bit different. You know, I'm going to add a little bit of my own flair into it. His channel's name is Mr. Tracy Heat with a H-E-T-H. Okay. H-E-A-T-H. Go give him a follow. He's a great guy.
Okay,
just launching him. I mean, I'm very passionate about launching the XRP army, the JSAR and the NESARA army 2.0. You know, and I mean, it pours out of my skin. So let's talk about the actors, because, you know, we've seen things, you know, and your audience, I'm sure, is up to speed on a lot of this stuff. But you see a guy falling down the stairs, going up the airplane, getting up in 2.2 seconds. I can't do that, and I'm 58 years old. You know, I got back pains, I got hip pains, I got all kinds of stuff going on, right? I can't get up that fast.
And it makes you wonder, okay, are these actors being controlled by the white hats so that people can wake up, you know, or are the black hats and nefarious people hiring actors because the real people have already been taken off planet or locked up?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they are actors. We can all agree
Well,
to that because
here's the reason why I think they're actors. Again, this is for your audience.
Okay.
Because they have to keep everybody calm. Because there's still a large portion of the population, let's say 50%, are still watching mainstream media. Correct?
Okay, right.
And the Obamas and the Clintons and the Pelosi's, okay, of the world, they have loyalists. Correct? So if they say to you, hey, we took them down, again, this is for your audience, we took them down to the spa down in Castro territory, they're done, and you no longer see them around walking around, and they show you video of them being taken out, that's going to cause riots. People are going to burn down stores. They're going to beat up old ladies with chihuahuas. They're going to, burn police cars. They're going to burn your tax dollars down to the ground.
We saw what happened in 2020 with the whole, I don't even know if I can say his name, GF situation.
GF.
George Floyd.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
People burning down their own neighborhoods.
Or using it as an excuse to go steal the television they can't afford.
Exactly.
They're a bunch of losers.
But you know what, Mel? They had cameras. So in my city where I was living in Louisville at the time, they had cameras. So even though people had their faces covered because of what was going on, the sickness that was going on worldwide, the diapers they had on their faces, they had cameras that could see through it and actually detected some of these people that I know got arrested, Mel. I was like, you dummy, you fool.
Yeah,
you thought you were going to outsmart law enforcement?
Yeah. But you got to love, I'm glad you went there. It sort of jogged my memory, and I want to go into a different thought here. Okay. Technology is a double-edged sword. Yes. We're under surveillance. You're under surveillance too.
I just had a church moment. Hallelujah.
We watching you, dog. Okay? Yes. Right? Because look at the movie, for example, 2,000 Mules. Somebody that had some very incredible intelligence and some shekels and some power, because when you got this, it's about it gives you choices that you no longer don't have on a regular basis, or ordinary people don't have this. When you have this and you got influence, they went to all the cameras where all those boxes were with those things that we're not allowed to mention that start with a letter B, okay? To bamboozle the what happened in 2020. Okay, so what happened was they went and got the film from there's irrefutable, irrevocable, undeniable, hands in the cookie jar evidence. We got you by the cojones. Yes. We got you, baby. Okay, and they say the next movie that's coming out is even going to be more powerful than that.
Wow.
There's going to be a sequel to this.
Wow. And speaking of the technology, Mel, I'm hearing that, under NESARA, there will be even greater technology or technological devices that will be released, like you said, like to heal us, to be able to detect if somebody's doing any nefarious banking transactions, so that, nothing like this foolishness with elections, I don't know if I can say, or things with our babies can happen again, where people go missing. Those technologies will be released and utilized. And I heard that those technologies were a gift from the Galactic Federation, or from extraterrestrial beings.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wait till you see the video I'm going to release today with what's his name? Alex Collier. That's going to knock everybody's socks off.
I can't wait.
You better be wearing your spacesuit. You better put your double strapped seatbelts. You better activate all your freaking airbags. You're going for a ride, baby, because this is powerful. Okay, and that's why they call it a trustless system. This is why the manipulation of the gold and the silver market and the digital assets market and everything, because the people that used to be able to manipulate us with linguistics and computers and technology, and they had They could rob us blind anytime they want, as much as they want. It was unlimited to them.
Yes.
That system, under this new trustless system called the blockchain, can no longer be messed with.
Absolutely.
They know this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they did not know this, and they could all become multi-trillionaires, but I'm going to tell you, there's another side of the story to this that I think you'll agree.
Okay.
Okay. It would have been over. But the problem is not that let's just assume that they can go from 100 millionaire to multi-hundred trillionaire. Every one of them. Wall Street, the bankers, the politicians, all of them. The problem is they don't want you. They don't want you to have it. They don't want the Billy Bobs. They got 3 teeth in their mouth coming down from the mountains of Montana with their shotguns who live in a log cabin to become a billionaire.
Right.
And I'm here to upset the whole entire apple cart, just like Trump. I'm here. I just showed up with my 17 gallons of gasoline, and we're going to burn it down to the ground.
Absolutely, which is why they didn't allow us to know about these exotic currencies. They've been buying these exotic currencies and then redeeming them or exchanging them for a while and becoming millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. But they didn't let us little people know about it.
Of course. Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you understand the trustless system. You understand the blockchain. Are you,
Yes.
by the way, I never asked you. I'm going to ask you here on camera. Are you invested in XRP?
Just a little bit. And I talked to Susanna about that. I told her, I'm just a little bit, but she told me, because I told her I invested through Uphold. She was like, so she gave me some advice. So I'm going to have to follow what she said. And
yeah, follow her what she tells you, but she knows her stuff. She's a sharp cookie. Okay. And yeah, definitely you're in a window of opportunity right now for everybody, not just you, to accumulate as much as you can. Accumulate, because these things are going to be worth a lot of money. Why out of 50, this is for your audience. My audience knows this ad nauseum. Why out of 15,900 digital assets, which 99.99999% of them are all scams. I'll admit that. I'm right there with Brad Garlinghouse on that, okay? There's going to be maybe 50 to 100 coins left standing when the dust settles that have real utility. Not you, Bitcoin or Ethereum, that charges $300 gas fees for somebody who wants to buy $100 worth of tokens. You guys are done. Finished. So what I'm trying to tell you is, why is the lawsuit only with that one?
I heard you say that the other day.
Okay. Why that one? Maybe that's the one you should be paying attention to. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. Why Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, and what's her name? Christine Lagarde were the only ones. Again, this is for your audience. Why are they the only ones that were allowed to go down to Antarctica about 4 months ago? Why? Ask yourself. See, if you ask yourself the right questions, you start to go into critical thinking, which is what they don't want you to do. Well, I want you to do that, and she wants you to do that. And you start to scratch your head. The answers become pretty darn easy. Right now, it is the easiest time alive to become a billionaire, a multi-billionaire by a factor of 10. Many of you guys out there, many guys in my room, I have had people invest $1 million in XRP recently.
Wow.
I've sold in the last 3.5 months. We're scratching $30 million worth of XRP. My broker loves me, by the way. Okay. And the reality is that, you always hear, hey, somebody just bought $78 million worth of XRP. Somebody bought $150 million worth of XRP. Where's that money? Why are all the little guys can only go to Uphold because they can only afford $500 to $1,000 worth, but the people who can have the money, $10,000 or more with my broker, you can go buy, and it's painless, completely painless, and you'll become spoiled. You'll never want to do it. Every single one of my customers that I've heard, that's why I said I've sold like 30 million. Every one of my customers has gone back 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, some even 5 times, purchased from my broker. Because it's so simple, you become spoiled. Okay, you pay maybe a 0.5 point more, 0.5% more. But Biggie, hey, listen, convenience has a price.
Yes, that's
The
right.
ability to be able to buy as many XRP as you want, whether it's $10,000 worth or $10 million worth or $150 million worth. Man, yeah, my broker could do that. Okay, has a price. Obviously, if you're coming in with $100 million, you have something called leverage. You can negotiate. I bet you they'll knock that 1/2 of 1% extra that you're paying, and you'll be par with everybody else. And voila.
Can I ask you a question though, Mel?
Sure.
For digital assets, because even with XRP, I heard somebody on her platform, a truther, say that she knew somebody who bought XRP and he got scammed out of it. That made me a little nervous. So how do you put it in your own possession so that you don't get scammed?
It's a great question.
Get access.
It's a great question. Right down below, there are links directly to the manufacturer. You put them on your hardware wallet. Okay. Don't go and click on links you find on the internet because they'll redirect you to a cloned website. They already ordered the real ones from the manufacturer. They're sending it somewhere else. You're at a cloned website. It's identical. You can't tell. The package has already been opened, reprogrammed, repackaged. You can't tell. They send it to you, and then when you go to collect your money, there are billions of dollars. Look me up. Fact check me. Okay, fact check me. There are billions of dollars missing off of hardware. You order to the links down below. Yeah, we make $4.22. Big deal.
Okay, right.
Okay, but your insurance policies that you're getting it from the right place.
Okay.
And you support great content like Doctor and I are putting out. Yes. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, no, that's how you do it. When you buy it, Doctor, you want to take it off of the exchange as quickly as you buy. Now, I don't make any money. I don't have a link to Uphold. They don't have affiliate programs. But if you go to Uphold, okay, you can only afford to buy $500 worth or $1,000 worth. Yes. What you do, I'm going to give you some free advice.
Okay.
I do give away a lot of things for free. That's why I'm not rich yet, but I'm going to be so rich that I'm going to be funny. You know? But the reality is that you go and you buy with a debit card instead of a credit card. I'll repeat that. Don't buy with a credit card. Buy with a debit card.
Okay. By
buying it with a debit card, there's no 65-day hold on your digital assets. You can take them off immediately as soon as the transaction goes through. Immediately.
Okay.
Okay. And you put it on your hardware wallet. You go to QFS1776.com. Under tutorials, there's 2 videos that will walk you through the process on how to do it. It's 6-minute video. You play, you pause, you play, you pause, you do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Voila, you're done.
Wow, thank you.
Simple.
That's what's been holding me back. I was nervous about that process.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have special. You have my wife at your fingertips. You talk to.
Oh, yay! Okay.
Walk you through the process in 2 minutes. You're a real pro. You know, I had a great time talking with you. Is there anything else you want to discuss, or anything that you don't know about that you want to know about that you think maybe I know, but probably I don't?
I just want to say that I know that people who follow me, and I don't know how you feel your audience is, some of them, when we talk about what's going on economically, we talk about a global currency reset. And basically that just means that they're resetting the system and we're going to return to gold. But when you talk like that, it makes some people nervous because they think about the great reset. And so I just want to reiterate that there's a difference between the nefarious NWO people who were in power, who wanted us to return to a one world currency. That is the great reset, where they can control and watch all of our transactions, you know, and monitor everything we do. And if you don't do what they want you to do, they'll like cut off all your money. That's the difference between that and the global currency reset, which is a positive, good, benevolent.
Quantum financial reset versus the global reset, 2 different things. Global reset, communism. Quantum financial reset with NESARA, XRP, not communism. 2 people on the field. One team is winning 100,000 to nothing. The other team is bleeding profusely. See, this global reset happened once before. You don't know about it. I'm gonna give you another tidbit that I learned from the wonderful Rita. I love Rita. She's my blood sister. Rita said that people became multi-billionaires during the Iraqi war. Did you know about this?
During the Iraqi, is that when the Kuwaiti dinar revalued?
Bingo! You got it.
1991.
Yeah, they kept it hush hush. The big boys upstairs.
Yes.
Okay, they went. They first of all, Saddam called, Bush, said, "Hey, listen, I got a problem." Oh yeah, go and invade. As soon as they invaded, they went and invaded Iraq. They devalued the money in Kuwait. They went in, bought all up the money, and they waited for the war to go over. And as soon as the war was over, voila, you got instant multi-billionaires. It's about to happen again, but this time the cat's out of the bag. The small guys got their little dirty paws around it, and I love it.
And I just want to encourage people too that this is real. I know your audience knows this, but let me speak to my audience too. This is real. And there was a conversation that number 45 had with a Fox News journalist, and they were talking about Soleimani. But he said towards the end of that video, he said, "We're going to make Iraq pay for us protecting them and for us creating glorious railroad systems for them after the war." And she said, "Well, how are you going to do that?" And this is what he said. He said, "We already have their money sitting in the bank, billions of dollars of the IQD.
$35 trillion worth of dinars, $35 trillion of US dollars worth of dinars. And he didn't buy that for himself. He bought that for you people out there. Okay. And people don't know that. That's absolutely true. As a matter of fact, 3 days ago, I put that story in my room 3 days ago.
Okay.
Soleimani. I love that. You brought up a great name.
So if it weren't true, if it wasn't going to revalue, why would he have the IQD sitting in the banks right now waiting for the opportune time?
You know the joke about Soleimani and Trump?
No.
When Soleimani, Trump came into power, Soleimani called Trump. He said, "Hey, Trump, are you going to do the same thing that, Obama did? Send us a bunch of money." He goes, yeah. He goes, "Absolutely. Do me a favor." He goes, "Wait for me at the airport."
I love our president. I really do.
Yeah, that's a true story. Anyway, well, it's a true story, but it's a joke. But I think it's more intended to be a joke. Also, Trump, he comes down the escalator. Do you know about this? The escalator? Okay. No. Go back after we get done doing this podcast and go watch this. Trump comes down the escalator to announce he's going to run for president of the United States.
Okay.
What is behind him? On the wall, big letters, huge. Currency exchange.
What? Wow.
A lot of people don't know this. I know that your audience, maybe a lot of them don't know about this. Currency exchange. From day one, I suspect, Donald Trump was giving you NESARA. We're going to give the power back to you, the people.
And one of the proponents of NESARA is that they will release trillions of dollars into the economy for the people and for humanitarian projects. So I'm assuming maybe that will come through the currency exchange. That's huge.
He's been sending subliminal messages forever. He goes to talk at Ford, and at Ford, there's 17 cars behind him. He goes to talk at Whirlpool, and there's 17 washing machines behind him.
Do you remember when he said, "My wife wants an RV"? And I was like, wait a minute, is that a hint? That we're revalue the currencies?
Okay, how come you and I are able to connect the dots, but so many can't? You think Donald Trump would be traveling in an RV? That's an inconvenience for a guy that's so luxurious.
Yes. And one final thing I want to say about NESARA, and people, I get pushback when I say this, but I'm hearing that each individual will receive like maybe $100,000 a month for 10 or 11 years in a non-interest bearing account, or somewhere up to a certain, maybe, I don't know how much, 20 million. Does that sound far-fetched to you? I'm hearing it. I'm excited about it. I think it's wonderful. And I think it would make us, make up for all the pain and suffering we've dealt with.
Are you talking about the value of the actual dinars and zims and all of that?
No, I'm saying they said that each individual, not just those of us who hold exotic currencies or invested in digital assets, but each individual is supposed to receive this a huge amount of money into their quantum financial accounts that we all are supposed to have. and it's supposed to make up for the nefarious banking accounts, for our birth certificates being turned into a bond, circulating on New York Stock Exchange. That money is supposed to be coming back to us. Is what I heard.
Because they've been screwing everybody. They've been screwing everybody since birth. Since you came out, they put some ink on your feet. They stamp your feet on a piece of paper. They give you to your parents. Your parents are renting you to the corporation. Listen to the word parent.
You made that connection. I never made that connection.
Okay, they're renting you to the corporation. They're trading you. I got my friend Logan, who lives 2.5 miles from here. He looked up his social security number. He goes, Mel, you're not going to believe this. I'm worth $15 billion. I said, how's that? He said, well, I got 65,000 plus corporations been trading me since I was born. He's 72. He looks good for 72.
Okay.
Not as good as me, but he looks good.
Can I say where you can find that? Can I say where you can find that information at?
Yeah, there is a website, supposedly. So the next time you and I do a podcast, remind me before we hit the record button. I'm going to get that information from him, and we'll leave it down below. But if you guys out there have that information, by all means, contact me, and we'll put it down below so everybody can have access to it. But there is a website.
I do know that website, Mel. I know the website. I've looked. Last time I looked, I have 31,000 companies or entities trading under my social security number.
So you're worth
from all over the world.
Yeah, from all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
That needs to come back to us, some of it at least.
If they were to, I'm going to answer you this way. If they were to release all of that money, let's just say they're going to play ball, they're going to play fair this time, and they say, yeah, okay, we screwed you, Dr. Pruitt. Yes, we screwed you, Mel Carmine. You guys are worth, $20 billion each, whatever. Here's the money. One problem. Nobody wants to go to work.
True.
Right?
True.
So do they have the artificial intelligence right now to be able to do everything? I believe they do.
Okay.
And if that's the case, if let's say, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. So I know people go, oh, Mel, you said, okay. No, I'm saying if that's the case and they have the artificial intelligence, they're going to have to unleash all of it.
I see.
Because nobody's going to be collecting your toll at the toll booths, although I think toll booths are going to be a thing of the past. I'm just using that as a hypothetical example. That's old world. We're going into a new world. All of this stuff is going to disappear. Get ready, because we're going to show you things that everything we've talked about, you're going to sit there and say, holy moly. I remember watching Dr. Pruitt and Mel talk about this stuff, and we thought they were complete cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And no, we're not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah, subscribe to Dr. Pruitt's channel as well. Can you tell them your channel, please?
It's Dr. Kia Pruitt, KIAPRUITT.
Beautiful.
Dr. Kia Pruitt, yes.
Go show her some love. I know I love her. I know my wife loves her. I know Susanna loves her. And you guys are going to love her too. Thank you, guys.
I'll say your channel so for my people to know where to
subscribe. It's XRP QFS TEAM, team, with the number 1 or the number 2 altogether. I'll repeat that. XRP QFS team, TEAM, number 1 or number 2. If number 1 gets shut down, go to number 2. Or just go and join our Rumble, or just go to QFS1776.com, and you got everything right there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.